first thing Daniel Mercer noticed was that the midnight train had no driver. That should have been impossible. The platform clock at Blackridge Station flickered between 11:59 and 12 o'clock as if it couldn't decide which side of midnight it belonged to. Wind scraped discarded newspapers along the concrete. The overhead lights hummed with a tired electrical buzz. Daniel stood alone, hands deep in his coat pockets, suitcase at his feet, trying not to think about the voicemail he'd received 3 hours earlier. "Danny, if you're hearing this, don't come looking for me." It was his younger sister Emily, missing for 7 years, and the call had come from a disconnected number. A train horn split the night. Daniel looked up. The midnight line slid into the station without the usual metallic screech. It moved too smoothly, too quietly, like something gliding over ice instead of rails. Its windows were black, reflecting nothing. The destination board above the front carriage glowed faintly. Midnight Express. Final stop. Unknown. The doors hissed open. No conductor stepped out. No announcement crackled through speakers. No other passengers stood waiting on the platform. Daniel hesitated. He had told himself he would do anything to find Emily. He hadn't expected anything to look like this. The station clock flipped decisively to 12 o'clock. Behind him, the platform lights went out, every single one. His breath caught. The only illumination now came from inside the train. Dim yellow bulbs casting a soft, almost welcoming glow. And that was the first pattern interrupt, because the moment he stepped forward, the doors shut behind him with a violent slam. The train began to move. The carriage smelled faintly of old perfume and damp paper. The seats were upholstered in faded blue fabric. The overhead lights flickered as if struggling to remain alive. Daniel's heart pounded as he scanned the aisle. The train was not empty. Every seat was occupied. Men, women, children, all sitting perfectly upright, all staring straight ahead, none blinking. A woman in her 40s wearing a red wool coat. A teenage boy clutching a skateboard. An elderly man with a folded newspaper in his lap. A little girl hugging a stuffed rabbit. None of them moved. "Excuse me?" Daniel's voice sounded too loud. No response. The train picked up speed. He swallowed hard and walked down the aisle. The wheels clattered rhythmically against the tracks. Steady. Hypnotic. He passed the woman in red. Her skin was pale. Not sickly pale. Not corpse-like. Just drained. Her eyes slowly shifted toward him. Only her eyes. The rest of her body remained still. Daniel froze, and then she whispered, so softly he almost missed it, "You shouldn't be here." A violent jolt shook the train. The lights flickered off. Total darkness swallowed everything. Daniel's pulse thundered in his ears. Then, light again. And the woman in red was gone. Her seat was empty, but the indentation in the cushion remained, as if someone still sat there. He stumbled back, breath ragged. "This isn't real," he muttered. "This is stress, grief, trauma." Then he saw the newspaper in the elderly man's lap. It wasn't today's date. It wasn't even recent. The headline read, "Local girl missing. Search continues." Below the headline was a photograph. Emily, age 17. 7 years ago. Daniel's hands trembled as he reached for it. The elderly man's head snapped toward him. This time, the entire body moved. "You're late," the man said. His voice sounded like dry leaves scraping concrete. "Late? For what?" Daniel whispered. The old man smiled. The lights flickered again, and suddenly every passenger in the carriage turned to look at him. All at once. Every head, every pair of eyes. No blinking. No breathing. Just staring. The train entered a tunnel. darkness. But this time, the lights did not return. Instead, faint blue illumination seeped through the windows. Daniel forced himself to look outside. There were no tunnel walls, no city lights, no stars, only endless black and floating shapes in the distance. As his eyes adjusted, the shapes became clearer. Cars suspended midair. Street signs, pieces of buildings, a child's bicycle slowly spinning, fragments of a world that didn't exist anymore. The train wasn't moving through space, it was moving through absence, and then he heard it. Footsteps behind him, slow, measured. He turned. At the end of the carriage stood a conductor. Tall, thin, face obscured by shadow beneath a black cap. "Ticket," the conductor said. Daniel's throat tightened.
Be with you.
I didn't get one. The conductor tilted his head. "No one boards without a ticket." "I didn't buy one." The conductor extended a pale hand. In it was a small rectangular stub, printed with Daniel's name and a date. Today's date. Departure. 12 a.m. return. No return listed. His stomach dropped. "I'm not staying," Daniel said, stepping back. "I just need to find my sister." The conductor's lips curved slightly. "They all said that." He gestured around the carriage. The passengers' faces began to shift, subtle at first. Wrinkles smoothing. Hair darkening. Clothing changing styles, like watching years rewind. The teenage boy with the skateboard now wore outdated headphones from the early 2000s. The woman in Redcoat's fashion looked decades old. Each passenger belonged to a different year, different decade, different missing person report. "You're not dead," Daniel whispered. "You're missing." The conductor leaned closer. Same thing, eventually. The train screeched violently, and Daniel was thrown against a seat. When he looked up, every passenger was gone. The carriage was empty, except for one figure sitting at the far end. A young woman, long dark hair, wearing a denim jacket. His breath stopped. "Emily?" She slowly lifted her head. Her eyes were normal. Alive. "Danny?" she whispered. He ran toward her. The moment he reached her, the carriage around them began to decay. Paint peeled from walls. Windows cracked. The air grew cold. "You shouldn't have come," she said urgently. "This train feeds on people who are unfinished." Unfinished? Regret, guilt, longing. It uses it as a ticket. Daniel's mind reeled. "I've been trying to leave for years," she said. "But you have to let go." "I'm not letting go of you?" The train lurched again. The conductor's voice echoed from nowhere. "Next stop. Acceptance." The word felt heavy. "Final." Emily grabbed his hands. "If you stay, you replace me. That's how it works. There's always a last passenger." The pattern snapped into place in Daniel's mind. The empty seat when he boarded. The unused ticket. The return
Last
line
passenger.
blank. "There has to be another way," he pleaded. Emily's eyes filled with tears. "There is. But you won't like it." The carriage walls dissolved completely. Now they stood on nothing, floating within the dark void he'd seen outside. Around them drifted thousands of faint silhouettes, people reaching, calling silently, "Say goodbye." Emily whispered, "and mean it." Daniel felt something crack inside him. 7 years of guilt, of replaying their last argument, of blaming himself for not answering her call that night. "I'm sorry," he choked. "I should have been there. I should have protected you." Emily smiled gently. "You were my brother, not my guardian." The void trembled. The train's whistle screamed in the distance. "I love you," he said. She leaned forward and hugged him. For a moment, she felt solid, real. Then she began to dissolve into light. "Live," she whispered. The darkness shattered. Daniel woke up sprawled on the empty platform at Blackridge Station. The clock read 12:07 a.m. No train. No wind. Just silence. His suitcase lay beside him. For a long moment he didn't move. Had it been a dream? His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Hands shaking, he answered. Silence. Then faintly, train wheels clattering. His blood ran cold. He slowly turned his head toward the tracks. Far down the line, barely visible in the distance, a train moved away into the night. One window glowed faintly, and in that window, a single silhouette, standing, watching him. The phone crackled. A familiar voice whispered, "Danny, there's still one seat left." The call ended. The station clock flickered. 12:07. 12 o'clock. 12:07. 12 o'clock. Daniel's breath quickened. From behind him came the sound of approaching footsteps. He turned slowly. A new train was pulling into the station. Its destination board read, "Midnight Express Final Stop. Home." The doors slid open, and inside, every seat was empty, waiting. The lights flickered. A conductor's voice drifted through the cold air. "Last passenger." Cut to black.